hear me?
All right, what up? Boy, I can. Okay, there we go.
Here we go.
All right, so
2 minutes.
no, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, so I believe all lives matter because you can't just put one race ahead of another. I don't know why Black lives only matter when a white man kills them. If you want police brutality to stop, you should protest about all lives matter because police brutality happens to every race. And that's it.
All right, so we're going to start off with first question. So you already stated your beliefs for each, your beliefs on Black Lives Matter, police brutality. I'm going to go.
I cannot hear you for some reason. I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yo, I cannot hear you. I don't know why. I can't hear both of you.
Dog. Yeah.
Oh no, what's happening right now?
You might want to try muting your mic and then putting it on mute again.
All right, there we go. I can hear you.
When you're not talking, put yourself on mute so there's no echo. I'm hearing a little echo right now. Okay, so we're gonna start off with going right now. Your opinions on the riots and protests. I'll have Jaden go first.
Hey, can we separate riots and protests and not classify them as one thing? Riots, I do not condone at all. I think they're things, but the protest, and we're all protesting for one thing, which is all what we want. We want brutality to end. But when we put riots and protests in, people tend to confuse why the protests are happening, and they only look at the bad side of the riots, which are horrific and I not at all. But at the same time, I feel like the riots are just what is the signal or what exemplifies the whole movement of Black Lives Matter.
Okay. I do not agree with the riots whatsoever. I just don't accept what they do with that stuff. And the protests I'm okay with, but I don't think they should be in the streets and doing that stuff because you shouldn't just be in the street. When people are trying to drive by and stuff, they're blocking off highways and stuff, and I do not agree with none of that. Well, I agree with the actual protest itself, but like not them blocking off the street.
All right, so we all know. I think we all share the same common opinion on George Floyd. Obviously very unfortunate, but I want to know your opinions on. A lot of people are saying that. So, I mean, have you guys heard of Rayshard Brooks, the case of that?
Yes, I have.
Yep.
All right, so let's start off with that one. That's kind of that's more sided of. It's very split between opinions. So I'm going to start off with that. John, do you believe that it was police brutality in the case of Rayshard Brooks?
Honestly, I do not. Wait, no, actually, I don't know. It's hard to tell because there's whole two different sides of the story, so you can't like believe everything you see. So like I'm in the middle right now because there's like many things happening, but I think I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, he was because he took the taser and he attempted to shoot it at the cop. And when they're from, a taser is considered a deadly weapon, so that's why the cop shot him. I agree with the cop 100% what he did. He should not be in jail for what he did.
If I may interject, I'd just like to say that police brutality is excessive force, which was conducted in that. I understand that Rayshard Brooks was a convicted child abuser. He did grab the taser, which is also it's not a non-lethal weapon, but it's a less lethal weapon. So I do there's a lot of you can make a lot of cases for justification as to why the cop shot him. And me personally, I'm not too sure how I feel about the situation. But yes, it is police brutality because I feel that it's excessive use of force, which I don't believe that he had to shoot him in the back. The dude, like, come on, let me finish. The dude was drunk and he was running away. He couldn't get that far. With the taser too, I understand going into the woods is a whole unsafe situation and everything, but he wasn't getting that far away. And not with, like, we have such advanced technology these days. Throw a helicopter up in the air, scan satellites, and get him safely. And that cop also had a history of excessive force. So a lot of these things play into police brutality.
Okay, so we're just saying there. Did you know that he attempted to actually shoot the cop with a taser? And where they're from, a taser is considered deadly force, which lethal force. So the cop had the right to shoot him, and from the beginning, Brooks was he wasn't complying with the cop's orders. And then you saw what he did, and then I think the cop should have shot him because the cop felt like it was a threat to him because he did end up with the taser at him. So I agree with the cop, and but whatever.
I mean, that's fair. I could see why you're saying that. In Atlanta, they are deadly. Tasers are considered deadly, so I can't really disagree with that. But I just feel that even though he was resisting, yes, he wasn't complying, but he was also drunk. He was thinking. We don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. We don't know his mindset, but the dude was drunk as hell. Didn't know what he was doing, and obviously he was in some sort of fight or flight mode, and he unfortunately he got shot, which I saw was excessive force because there's multiple ways that you could have taken this man down, even if it doesn't require you taking him down in that second. And in that moment, if you don't get him down, there's so many ways you could have had an arrest warrant, you could have had a helicopter in the air, you could have hunted him down. There's so many other ways that we can do that. I just don't feel that shooting him was the right option because nobody deserves to die at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but listen, if you were in the cop's shoes when Brooks took the taser and then attempted to run away, and then before the cop shot him, he pointed the taser at the cop like he was going to shoot him with it or tase him. So the cop felt like he had to do what he had to do because his life was threatened. That's what the cop felt, and just imagine you putting yourself in the cop's shoes.
I mean, dude, that's fair, but you have to also look at the fact that the cop understand what his job was going to be the minute he wanted to become a cop. That's just how it is, and it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. He knew what he was going to be the minute he wanted to become a cop, and you're going to be put in those situations as a cop a lot of times in your life, and unfortunately, a lot of people can agree with me. A lot of people will disagree with me. It doesn't matter whether they do or don't. I can't change my mind on the fact that it was excessive use.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but we just have different point of views on things. That's why we're talking. But I just think he didn't deserve to die or anything like that, but he did, and at the end of the day, he did end up pointing the taser at the cop.
That's
And
true.
yeah, I can agree with what the cop was doing. He felt like his life was threatened, so he tried to defend himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so
Okay, so we got a viewer comment. This is one of the, I think, the most debated topic at the moment. I'm gonna show it. What is your guys' opinion on Chop/Chaz?
okay.
The autonomous zone in Seattle.
Yes.
I'm well. I'm not too really like. I'm not too hot or against it. I'm also not with it at all. So I feel. I mean, after what I heard that 2 teenagers died from violent force or whatever, I'm not too sure if it was gunfire or not, but I heard it was like violent force, and I didn't hear anything about being the cops. I think that's time the Seattle police did the right thing. They should have went in there. They should have taken it down. But I think in the beginning, I think this is how a lot of things in America are handled. In the beginning, they start off great, and then towards the end, they just start carrying out of control and all this other shit. But in the beginning, I thought the autonomous zone was something cool. It was great. It was a symbol. Obviously, it's that police lost their precinct. They wanted it back. Fair enough. They do. It's theirs. They were gonna get it back eventually, and it happened. But I think that it was. I think it was just like a symbol. Like, we're here to stay. You need to hear our voices because this is the America we live in right now.
Fair enough. So, my opinion is that those people that died there, them teens, they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. They shouldn't have been there. I don't really agree with that stuff. It's they're terrorizing Seattle and stuff, and that stuff has to come to an end. I agree with all them peaceful protesters, but like this rioting and stuff, gotta go. Just like we can't have this stuff in the U.S.
I can agree with that. I don't think rioting, burning down buildings should happen. But I feel whenever we talk about rioting, people they just decide not to talk about like why riots are happening. And I'm not saying you guys are, but I'm saying when I tend to get into arguments with people that are like that have made comments on Black Lives Matter without wanting to listen or understand why we say Black Lives Matter, you just every time since Freddie Gray in Baltimore, you guys have said someone has said to me, well, you guys protest and burn down buildings. The protesting burn down buildings is not Black Lives Matter. That is not us. Unfortunately, there's always going to be a few bad apples within that group, just how there's a few bad apples with cops. Now, if it's not fair for us to say A, C, A, B, all cops are bastards or all cops are bad.
Yep.
It's twisted around, and you guys choose to label the riots as the Black Lives Matter movement, which I don't think is fair because that's just pure hypocrisy.
That is not true, and it's people were hired to go riot and stuff because it is election year, so they're trying to make as much heat as they can. I believe that people were hired. They showed an article. People were hired and they were getting paid $25 to do destructive stuff around the world, or not around the world, around the U.S. So
Right.
I believe that it's Black Lives Matter and rioting is a whole different thing.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I just think there's a whole lot of confusion and misconceptions with Black Lives Matter, and that's why I just wanted to come on here because I saw your TikTok and I was like, I'd love to talk to this guy, but unlike like the Republican or Hype House or whatever, I don't follow them. They like you can't really connect with them. So I was like, I saw you guys. I was like, I'll go to his Instagram, DM him, see what we can work out. I just wanted to come up here and like, I see a lot of your TikToks, bro, and I can't lie to you. Some of them just I feel are completely like flawed. When the TikTok of the girl making comparisons about Black Lives Matter protests, Trump rallies, all this other BS is she wasn't making any fair points. Now, let me say this real quick. You can be a Republican. I have no problem with that. But being a Trump supporter is something different. Me personally, I have a problem with that because I feel that Trump is a racist. He's been racist on multiple occasions. He's been homophobic and xenophobic on multiple occasions.
Oh, sweet, perfect. We can talk about this because I'm a Trump supporter, and not in any way I don't think he's racist at all or homophobic. Have you heard of what he's been doing for the LGBTQ community?
Yes, I have heard. I've also heard that he tried to take away their rights to adoption. That sounds pretty homophobic or LGBTQ phobic. New word. That's a new word now. LGBTQ phobic to me. And listen, bro. I'm not going to sit here and sway your appearance and your opinion on Trump. If you want to be a Trump supporter, that's fine. That's fine with me. Me personally, as a person, I don't like Trump. I don't think he's the type of person I would want around me or leading my country. Because on multiple occasions, he's proven that he cannot run a country properly.
Republican Elba, are you fine with me talking about this for a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's move on to that topic. So,
okay, sweet. So, anyways, why do you think Trump's a racist?
There's been multiple occasions where even back then, we're talking way back, we've had his Native American casino problems. He redistricted his casino dealers, the black casino dealers, to poorer tables. That's been proven on multiple occasions. We had the Muslim travel ban. He just retweeted a video of a dude saying white power, and it took him 3 hours to delete it. And whether he heard it or not, that's just pure irresponsibility by our president, because for someone that has that many Twitter fingers, he should be more careful about what he says. I mean, that I feel like that's like there. We're always taught, be careful what you say on social media. Watch what you say on social media. It could really affect you later on. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, social media. But our president is out here retweeting videos of a white man saying white power on a golf cart.
Okay, but besides that, all that stuff you're talking about happened in the past. So tell me, do you think people deserve to be judged on what happened in the past if they changed?
We do it anyways.
That is true, but that's not my question. Do you believe people should be judged on their past?
No, you shouldn't at all. But that question is flawed because we do it anyways. No matter how many times you ask that question, people are going to continue to judge on the past. It's the same it's the same system we live in America today as a black man. As a black man, bro, if I had a couple charges on me, that would already be a down look on me. And our charges are on our record. They stay there forever. That is our past. Even if we've grown and changed, it is hard for us to sway importance or how they see us. How they see us is how they see us. And if they see our past, that's how they're going to see us for the rest of our lives.
Okay, that's fair, but honestly, that could happen to anybody about their charges. Not everybody's charges gets dropped.
You're right, and that can
happen to anybody. You can't just point out one race. It happens to anybody that commits a crime and it stays on their record.
Yeah, it does. But we can't sit here and act like there isn't an automatic racial prejudice. I mean, let's be honest. There is.
Well, it depends on the person. It depends on the judge. It all depends on the person. Not everybody's the same.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I'm just going off the generalized system in America. When slavery was eradicated, right as slaves were getting freed, we put in a prison system. We never had a prison system before that, or an official prison system, government mandated. We never had anything like that before. But as soon as slavery was eradicated, as soon as we went down to Texas and we freed all those slaves, prison systems were mandated, and we haven't had much prison reform since then. We have Black Americans with huge platforms trying to do that.
Fair enough. But I'm just saying, Republican, what do you got to say about this? What do you want us to do now?
I mean, if you're arguing if Trump's a racist and you only give the Twitter post he made about the guy saying white power was horrible. I'll say this: Trump does say some things that are very rude. It's just disrespectful to people. But in the end,
it's not racist. It's just disrespectful.
It is disrespectful, but in the end, is he doing a better job than the last 4 presidents we've had?
That's true.
He is very rude to people. He can be. But
in the end,
at the end of the day, we just saw in June, he had about 4.5 million jobs added.
And it boosted up to 6.8 million.
6.8 million.
Well,
On May, when we were in the coronavirus, that's like,
Yeah, that's a lot. That's very good. I don't think any other president for the past 4 years would have done that, or 5 years.
well, really quickly, people always say like Trump has gotten jobs lower than whatever it was, blah blah blah. Obama had to take on what Bush had with a Republican House and Senate. Obama's hands were completely tied. He didn't have much room to work with. And don't forget that Bush was awful. I mean, let's just be honest. Bush was not that good of a president at all.
I will say that.
So was Clinton. Clinton wasn't good either.
Clinton was awful too. I think I would take Trump over Bush because Bush was just awful. Now, as a person, that's a whole different story. But when we're talking presidency, Bush jobs were terrible. He had the whole 9/11 thing, all these conspiracy theories. Bush was not a good president at all. Obama took what Bush gave him and turned it into something that it wasn't supposed to be at all. Well, I'm pretty sure Obama got it from 16 million unemployed to 11 in 8 years, which is hard. I mean, it's also not like what people expected, but we're coming off he took us out of a recession.
Oh, that's out of recession. When it's out of recession, you create so many jobs when it's out of recession.
Yeah, but Bush also had one of the highest unemployment rates ever, and Obama took it, lowered it, and Trump took the rest of it. Like it's like you guys watch football?
Yeah, but anyway, wait. You know, Obama also made us lose jobs too, right?
Yeah, a lot of big manufacturing companies went to Mexico.
Yeah, we lost a lot of jobs there, and then also,
but I think
poverty rate for Black people went up, Asian people went up, and Mexicans went up when Obama was president, and then when Trump became president, all that stuff dropped down, and it's all-time lowest.
By how much percentage?
Right now, it's at 4.8 for
what was the difference?
Before it was when Trump became president, it was 16% for Black people or something like that. 8% for Mexicans. What?
Was it higher when Bush was president?
I don't know. It was higher when it got
more than likely. It was
higher when Obama became president. It got even higher, and then Obama lowered that a little bit, but it was still higher. And then Trump lowered all of that stuff.
Well, you also have to keep in mind, Obama was a Black Democratic president with a Republican House and Senate. Now, I'm not making that as an excuse for him. I'm not going to sit here and say Obama was the greatest president ever, but he did what he could in his first 4 years. And his last 4 years, he did a lot more than his first four. His first four, it's kind of like a rookie year, essentially, but he also wasn't getting much. He wasn't getting any help from the House or Senate at all. The House or Senate was not with him at all. They didn't want him to be president. Obama, I was surprised when Obama even was president.
Okay, so the House was Democrat in 2008.
Yeah, that's true. The House was Democrat.
The Senate was majority Democrat, but still pretty Republican.
It was mixture of the Senate.
Next year it went Republican, and Mitch McConnell became Senate Majority Leader.
Yep.
But still, the House was Democrat. It's the same as when Trump has it. Senate's Republican, House is Democrat. It's the same exact scenario regarding the House and Senate.
Yeah, and what you're saying about Obama, his rookie 4 years, what do you think Trump's going to accomplish if he's president for the next 4 years? Even more than we already have accomplished as an economy, and we're all growing. Everybody's benefiting from this.
Yeah, but I feel you also have to understand we're only pointing to the economy. There's so many other things there's so many other things bad about Trump.
Our military is the best. It's number one. He got our military number one ranked.
He's also getting our military. He's also getting military members killed. Listen. These are all other topics. I'll come back another day for this. I just really want to get back. We can talk about this all day. I can go about this all day, but I'd rather we can talk about Black Lives Matter. We can talk about and everything.
We can do that.
Yeah. Okay. We kind of got off topic, but All right, I'm not going to join in anymore with the debate. I'll just be moderating. So let's go back to Black Lives Matter. Do you guys believe that Black Lives Matter is more anti-white or pro-black? I'll start with Jaden.
Pro-black. I think this is clearly pro-black, and Black Lives Matter is not a black versus white thing. It's a all versus police brutality thing. We are fully against any form of people in power using excessive force on lessers. Now,
Okay.
now if it were we talk about like Mexicans and all that Mexicans in ICE, or I'm sorry, I said Mexicans, people in ICE and south of the border, that shit, we're all against that shit. No kid should be in cages. No kid.
Okay, before you talk about cages, you know who it was under Obama's administration for the kids in cages and stuff?
Yes, I do understand that, but that's not my point. That is not what I'm talking about at all. Like I said before, we can talk about that all day. I have no problem talking about Obama versus Trump. But what I'm saying is no kid deserves to be in a cage at all. So like the whole Black Lives Matter thing is not black versus white. It's all versus police brutality. Because that shouldn't even be in a question. You know, like I've seen a lot of white people suffer from police brutality, and that shit makes me sick because like that shit sucks, bro. I've seen a white man get kneed on his back for 7 minutes, and that shit's not okay at all. And I was pissed about it. I was like, bro, this isn't gonna unite us at all, because what's gonna happen is the media's gonna pay more attention to the black man and the police brutality versus the white man. Meanwhile, they all should get the same amount of media attention, and people. But the only problem is a lot of people confuse, misconstrue, and then they're gonna say, well, white people are more blah blah blah. And yes, they are, and that's like a whole other argument. But these are still lives being lost at the hands of police, and there have been a lot of black people killing, and that's why black people are standing up, because we are 13% of America, but white people are 72%. When people say all lives matter, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, but it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so can I start talking now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe since you guys are protesting about police brutality, why are you just doing it on one specific race? Do it on all lives matter, since you are against police brutality. Police brutality actually happens more to white people than black people or any other race. So just do it about all races. It shouldn't be just one specific race if you're against it. And what was I gonna say? Oh yes. Also, about black people making up 13%. That is true, and all that stuff is true. And people always counter but there's more white people to be killed and stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about the crime rates. And you know what's going on in Chicago right now and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about that. Like, only the media is talking about. The media it's all crooked. They're only talking about when a white man kills a black man. But when it's on black deaths, nobody talks about it.
Well, I don't mean to interject.
That should be a change.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but let's stop that whole black on black crime, because we don't say white on white crime, because we all know a crime is more likely to be committed by a person of your color / race or ethnicity than any other race. So when there's gentrification and over policing in certain black neighborhoods, that's more likely to happen because we were given less and more crimes are committed. But saying we should do it all under one race is kind of like not like right, because if let's say we just went out and started chanting all lives matter, we would look like fucking idiots if we started a protest saying all lives matter. Now, now that we say Black Lives Matter, I've never heard, like, even outside of, like, I've never seen a video of a white man suffering from police brutality, or a Mexican or a Spanish man. He stops saying Mexican, or a Spanish man or a Native American suffering from police brutality, and then have a protest about all lives matter. It doesn't happen. If you can name me a time it's happened or send me a video, I will gladly take away everything I just said. But
Okay, so your whole movement started after George Floyd died, correct? Basically, that's when it started growing. And Tony Timpa, he died from the cop kneeling on his neck for 13 minutes. Nobody protested about it because nobody ever talked about it. And the cops were making jokes that he died and stuff, and they didn't care. And he called the police on himself because he wasn't taking his medication. So therefore, even though George Floyd died and stuff, he shouldn't have died, but it shouldn't be about one race. It happens to every single race. And even though it was in that moment, it should still protest about all life matter because it's police brutality at the end of the day. It happens every race.
really quickly, the Tony Timpa situation is awful. As I said before, it should have got more media coverage, and it didn't. And I do find a problem with that. I'm completely against the media today, which is why I'm independent. But you can't. The Black Lives Matter movement did not start this year.
I know. I'm just saying that's when it started populating this year after George Floyd died. That's when it started.
No, the George Floyd death was the tip of the iceberg. That's when we said we had enough because we've been doing this shit for almost 7 years. Not even. No. This is my lifespan. 7 years is my lifespan. This is when I started understanding it. We've been doing this shit since the LA riots back in the 80s and 90s, 70s too. We've been doing all this stuff back then. This is when, but it was never classified as Black Lives Matter. No, we've been doing all this since the LA riots all the way back then. And so now it's like, why the hell is this still happening? There's no reason, we're talking about 400 years of systemic oppression. We had slavery, got out of that. Jim Crow laws, that segregation, all that stuff ended. So why are we still getting killed by cops? That's what we're trying to find out.
So are white people. White people are getting killed. Unarmed white people are getting killed more than unarmed black people.
There's more of you.
But it's crime. It's all about crime.
Listen.
It just can't be because there's more white people. That has nothing to do with the crimes. It all has to do with the crimes. When it comes to crimes, that's when you talk about cops. Because I'm pretty sure in like 2019, 9 unarmed black men were killed and 21 unarmed white men were killed.
So explain the Tamir Rice situation for me.
About what? What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Can you explain the Tamir Rice situation for me?
I have to ask you a question first. So,
and Trayvon Martin also wasn't a crime at all. He was shot by a Hispanic man who wasn't even a cop.
But anyway,
and the killed Philando Castile, he was a Hispanic cop too. So it's not, by no means is it black versus white. But you have to understand, there is more of you, and yes, the graph is completely skewed because there's more of you. And if we're getting killed at almost, you guys should be getting killed almost 6 times the rate as we are from police brutality. You're getting killed by less than 2 times the rate we are. And it is 13% to 13.6 to be specific, to 72% flat. Is that not a problem?
But again, it doesn't matter how many people there are. It's crime rates. That's how somebody dies. It's always from crimes or from getting pulled over. It always has to do with the crime. It has nothing to do with how many people there are.
You explain it to me the right situation to me.
Anyway, you're talking about black people oppressed with slavery. You realize there was also white slaves, and the first ever slave owner was a black man.
White slaves. Can you name me? I'd like to hear about some of these white slaves.
Oh, by any means, I'll tell you right now.
Wait, but really quickly, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but I just want you to explain the Tamir Rice situation. Do you know who Tamir Rice is?
Tamir Rice, I heard of him.
Tamir Rice.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
12-year-old with a toy gun. You know what he was? Shot by the cops at the age of 12. Didn't even make it to his 15th birthday. Not even his 13th. 12. Shot by the cops. It's not about crime rates. Obviously have something to play in it because there's cops involved, but it's not always about the crime rate. It's about racial prejudice, And that's what Black Lives Matter is about. We're trying to stop racial prejudice. But go ahead and explain those white slaves to me.
Okay, so we had Abigail Edgefield, Abraham Hamburg, many slaves that are white people. This list is so long. William Edgefield, Walter Hamburg, Venus Edgefield, all these were family members too that were slaves.
Where'd they come from? I actually never knew about this, so I'm curious.
Yeah, some of them came from the U.S. and other ones came from. Let me check on this. Okay, you came from there. Most of these people came from the U.S. Actually, these are also some black slave owners too. I don't know why they have them on that list. But there was many white slaves. There's more black slaves than white slaves. I'm gonna say that. But this is the past. None of us could ever control that stuff, right? Let's just agree on that. None of us white people can control slavery in the past. But people are still blaming us for what happened when we couldn't control none of that stuff that happened.
I don't think, again, this is where confusion and misconception comes in. I don't think anybody's trying to blame you or anybody you know specifically for slavery, but we're trying to point to the fact that there is clear systemic oppression, and it's been going on for 402 years. Now, you may not even have ancestors that were slave owners, that were in slavery, blah, 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 but there's systemic oppression, and there's no denying that. You can't deny it. We had slavery. As soon as slaves were free, prison reform and prisons were mandated in the United States of America, right or wrong.
That's true, but
so that the prison was obvious a clear way to say we can't let black people on the loose because they'll just be criminals. They'll try to get revenge on us. And I mean, dude, if I was a slave back then, they're damn right I would try to get revenge on them. But like, that is
nothing we could control. And yet, I'm saying certain people are still, they're so mad over it, and they're blaming all of the white people for it. Which, not all white, there are answers. Not all of us, our ancestors were slave owners or anything like that. We can't control what happened. So the fact that people it's okay to bring it up and stuff, but it's not okay to always blame every single white person you see. Every argument, people always say, "Oh, you guys own slave owners. You guys were slave owners, so you can't talk." Stuff like that. That stuff's ridiculous. I just want to get past all that stuff.
And I think, you're 100% right. You can't, and it's wrong to completely blame a white person for slavery, or a white person in this current day and age for slavery. But I feel those are also the argument you pose right there are two people just being extremely uneducated because they refuse to understand the whole concept and everything that happened and how we're trying to move past. Now, anybody that says, y'all own slaves and shit, they aren't in the right mindset to understand that we are trying to unite, gain equality, and move on from the past.
Okay, another thing, equality. So I see all these, they're fighting for equality, also the Black Lives Matter movement, and I was watching about at least 10 videos of Trump supporters wearing MAGA hats or Trump 2020 hats, and they're going to the protests. They're peaceful, and they're asking them to join in, and guess what? Every single one of them I watched, they would not let them join in just because they like Trump. But yet, they're fighting for equality and stuff. You shouldn't judge someone just based on their political beliefs.
Dude, that's a whole other story.
No, I don't think it is when it has to do with the movement itself. When they're fighting for equality, but they won't let certain people join in just because of their political beliefs.
I think, the whole Trump. Me personally, if you're with us on Black Lives Matter, then you're with us. I personally don't agree with not letting anybody in that wants to protest with us. But I also haven't seen videos like that. If you could show me them, I'd really love to see that. Show that all people aren't bad, all Trump supporters aren't bad, but some of them, it's kind of how you guys. I feel like some Trump supporters or some Republicans, not even Trump supporters, you guys classify liberals, and me as an independent, I look at both sides. you guys classify liberals as libtards or they're idiots or whatever. So they just do the same right back to you, or they do it first and you do the same right back to them. So that whole like, it's not really like Black Lives Matter isn't really a political thing, which is why I'm saying it's different because like you can't really bring politics and certain equality status because of your political belief.
But that's what I saw it in 5 to 8 different states that they did it in it. Every single state, they were always
You can't really like
judge them just off of their political beliefs.
you can't really like say you're unequal. You're arguing about equality here, but you can't say someone's unequal because of their politics beliefs. Because a Black Lives Matter protest didn't allow a Trump supporter in, that doesn't mean that the Trump supporter is unequal. It just means that they obviously did it for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he's a Trump supporter, maybe it's because he's not. Whatever reason it is, I don't know. They didn't want him there, and that's again. That's a whole other debate.
But that's not really a debate when it's all about one thing, because
I haven't seen the video.
anybody is welcome to the Black Lives Matter movement. And when a Trump supporter wanted to join in with their hat on, they wouldn't accept them just because it's a Trump supporter. Everybody said no. He said, I'm a protest peacefully with you guys. And every single one of them said no, and they was chanting no and get out of there. So I mean, it all has to do with the same thing. It's the movement itself. So I'm just saying it's not a whole different.
I can't sit here and debunk that you're right or wrong because I haven't seen the video. So
I would send you some videos after this if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. 100%. I'd like to see it.
There was also I don't know if you ever heard of him, Joey Salads. He was also doing an experiment with that too, also about the wearing a Trump hat to one of their movements.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed him to leave. So he just left because they wouldn't accept him just because of his political beliefs, which I think is wrong.
Again, I haven't searched up after. I haven't seen any videos like that, so I can't sit here and be like, no, you're wrong. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that.
Okay, so go ahead, Republican up.
Okay, so bringing up the point that John made, I haven't seen the video either, but I wouldn't find it hard to believe with the peaceful protesters not letting the Trump supporters protest with them. Do you think there's some kind of prejudice towards Trump supporters? Because, it's obviously a racist statement to classify one race as one thing.
Can you repeat what you just said? Yeah. I don't really understand what you. I'm kind of confused. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Do you think there's some kind of prejudice towards Trump supporters? I mean, it's obviously racist to put an entire ethnicity, race, classified as one thing. So, going to Trump supporters, do you think people classify them as all racist? Is it just as bad as calling all black people criminals than saying all Trump supporters are racist?
Well, I think being a racist and being a criminal are two different things. But I also don't think that all Trump supporters. I have Trump supporter friends, and that like I said before, if they want to be a Trump supporter, they can be a Trump supporter. That's none of my business. But you can't you can't really. I've never seen. I don't think people classify all Trump supporters as a racist. I just think that people genuinely they have a natural prejudice against Trump supporters. Now, whether to say they're racist or not, I can't tell you. But all I know is that most of my friends who are liberal, who are independent, have a natural prejudice against Trump supporters. But
I would call that prejudice, honestly, because
that's what I just said.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's what I would call it, because not everyone's the same. That's all I gotta say. Not everyone's the same.
They're not, and you're right. Like everybody's built different. Everybody was born different. But I don't know if you can really classify criminals and racists in the same bubble, because like calling all black people criminals that's actually racist because that's just
Yeah, I would agree. I
Yep.
completely do not agree with that standpoint, but I'm just using it as an example.
yeah, I understand, but I feel like that there maybe could have had a better example. If that was your best example, I don't think that's what I'm fine with it, but I just don't think you can really put them in the same bubble. Do I think all Trump supporters are racist? No. But do a lot of people I know, including myself, have a natural prejudice against Trump supporters? Yes.
Oh, I don't agree with that. It's just, how can you base someone prejudice just because of their beliefs?
It's not because of their, it is because of
It
their,
is.
it is because of their beliefs, but it's also because the person they support has been rude. He has had racist moments on multiple occasions. We're not even without judging on the past, he's done it recently, and he's done multiple he's done good and bad things, but the bad outweighs the good in the situation sometimes.
Okay, so some I'm say about 70% of the liberals are mostly Democrats. Do you agree?
Yes.
So I can call the liberal Democrats all racist because Democrats support Biden, and Biden has had so many racist slurs. You can list so many of them.
Well, if you want it, I'm not gonna sit here and do.
So I'm just saying. Wait. So I can call the liberals that support Joe Biden racist, just like they call us prejudiced for liking Trump.
Well, no one. What? No, I think you're not understand what I'm saying. If you want to go ahead and call all those liberals racist, by any means, go ahead. You'll make yourself look stupid. But no one's calling you guys prejudiced. We just have a natural prejudice against you. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Joe Biden hasn't done racist things. Yeah, he has, and it's popped up many times. But Trump has done they're both. You don't fight fire with fire. So why would you waste your time if you know that you're not going to sit there and convince someone why Joe Biden's racist, blah blah blah, all this other stuff? Why would you sit there and then proceed to call them racist because they support a racist? I tell the same thing to all my liberal friends. Don't sit there and argue with someone who isn't going to listen to you and just going to there's no point in going back and forth. It's pointless.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there. I think that's a good stopping point for the debate today. I'll definitely, if you guys ever want to come back on for future shows, I'll definitely be open to it.
100%.
All right, go make sure to go to my Instagram and take the poll of who you think won. And that's it. First episode. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Jeez.